Hi, I'm Phil Bliss, and welcome to Stop, Think, Focus, Execute. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Billie Redmond, founder of Trademark Properties in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. Billie, tell us a bit about yourself and your organization.
Well, thank you, Phil. I'm happy to have that opportunity. So I'm Billie Redmond and started Trademark Properties 32 years ago. We're a commercial real estate firm. We help people realize value through real estate. We also we consider ourselves a family of companies. So Trademark Residential provides residential income producing property management and brokerage services. And Trademark Association Management provides management for professional associations and homeowners associations.
We were talking earlier, just give everyone a sense of the scope of the business. So we're here in Raleigh, but you move a lot further than that.
We are a Raleigh-centric firm. This is home, but over the years we've done work across the state of North Carolina, and since 2009 we've done work in 11 states in the Southeast. But we're very careful and very clear about where and how we provide services, always again based on the client's value proposition.
How did you get here? Tell us a little bit about that story.
I actually was managing the largest psychiatric practice in North Carolina, but had moved into doing more and more real estate development on behalf of the physicians. It was always focused on how they used real estate for their business. I had the opportunity to be introduced to the owner of the largest residential real estate firm in the Triangle in 1984. And he really was thinking about starting a commercial real estate firm, and he knew who I was. And so we had a couple of conversations about starting that company. I have to be completely honest, that was not an intentional focus for me, but it was intriguing, very established firm, an opportunity to start a new company and to lead it, but in association with resources and structure of a larger organization.
Maybe there was that kind of attraction playing with real estate and stepping into it, especially in being given a lead role, that it wasn't such a bad idea.
When I look back on it now, and other opportunities that I think we've executed well on in the years has usually been the ability to see the parallel of what we were already doing, skill sets that we had, or experiences where we have been successful, and the opportunity then to leverage that. So when I look at where I was doing office building development for physicians, the ability then to leverage the real estate experience in a different way through that residential firm's geographic footprint and their success, I think that's what compelled me to take that step forward and join him.
So that was a stop and think thing. You really were thinking, oh,
I could do more. We could do more. We could do more. That's right. We could do more.
Right.
So it was the opportunity to grow something that would have been very different had I stayed on my own doing development work.
We were chatting earlier, and we both lived successfully through 5 recessions, and that's kind of fun. Tell us a couple of stop and think bumps when you've had to stop and really reconsider, make a swerve, and move on.
So one that comes to mind is about 20 years or so ago, I lost a key broker. It was a male and a good friend. And I realized that I was in an industry that was very male-dominated. There were very few women in the brokerage business of commercial real estate, and almost no ownership. And so that was a moment of sort of picking my head up and looking around and saying, well, what would make that different? And what made that different, besides I was usually the only woman in the room, was the fact that I could change that. I could change that by recruiting and engaging women to be in our industry. And today, of course, it's much more prevalent. There are probably 50% of the brokers, women in property management, women in construction management, really has changed that dynamic. We have some of the best brokers in the market that are women. Mm-hmm. And it changed our company culture, and it changed the dynamics of who we are. Mm-hmm. So it was a great strategy from an execution perspective. Women tend to be loyal, very committed, very good at what we do in our industry, detail-oriented, and able to multitask. So that was a challenging moment, not a moment that I relished in that loss, but it became a different strategy.
Yeah, I mean, and that stop-think moment has become the foundation of your business.
Right. We're in the people business, and it's all about our people. It has to be about them, our culture, and how we work together with our clients. So that was a moment, and I would, of course, have to say the last recession.
Yeah, you got to go there.
So 2007, best year in the history of our company. Great growth, retooled, reorganized, brought in new talent, hired really good people. I get to March 2008.
You're focusing and executing. Really, boom,
it's
boom, boom.
great. I'm thinking, you know, this is going to be so easy from here on out. I'm going to work less, play more golf. This is going to be terrific. In March of 2008, everything we were working on just stopped. 60% of our business activity came to an absolute halt. And I do think one of the things that we did differently was we thought through where we were, and I'd like to say it probably does have the fact to do that when you're a little older and you've experienced it before, you look at things differently.
You didn't keep rushing to get where you had to be.
I had a lot of peers who said, this is going to last a year. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And I am so grateful we did not take that approach. What we did do was stop and think about, what are we good at? Well, we're really good at finding value in real estate. We're really good at transactional-based real estate. We're really good at relationships. And we're incredibly flexible and responsive. We're pretty nimble. So what we realized that was different in the business model was who owned the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, the banks were going to own the real estate.
That's right.
So we created a new division of the company called Special Asset Solutions, SAS, and we went after the bank business. And I'm happy to say we were on the front of that by as much as 2 years from our competitors. So starting in 2009, we created the opportunity to do over $100 million of closed transactions each year in 11 states across the Southeast. So here we are, this Raleigh-centric company, but yet we did work in Miami, we did work outside of Atlanta, we did work in Texas and Tennessee and West Virginia and Kentucky. We developed a proprietary software system to do it. Our clients liked it, and we went to work ultimately for 9 banks. Best years in the history of our company.
Mm-hmm.
And the great news is that we sold that real estate to people who had cash. Some were very non-traditional buyers, and to a fair number of private equity firms.
Mm-hmm.
So we set about as the next differentiator to stop and think about what's going to happen next. Eventually, they'll also churn their real estate. Mm-hmm. So we made them our friends, and they are now our next generation of clients, and we're moving that real estate for the people who bought it during the recession. We provided them an opportunity to build value, and now
great insight.
Realize the value. Great staff of people, great execution.
I know you've had some great stop, think, focus, execute moments in your business life. The 2008 recovery is awesome, but you're passionate about your community, so I'm really interested how you're applying those 4 steps in some of the community ventures that you're working with.
That's a great question, and probably the one I love to talk about the most. So I've been really fortunate to serve and lead some of our most dynamic boards and organizations in our community. Wake Med Health and Hospitals, a $3 billion operation with over 8,000 employees. For me to be their chair was pretty amazing. I learned a lot. In every one of those opportunities for leadership and volunteer participation, I've learned more than I've given. But I will say, I'm not sure this is exactly a stop, think example, because I had a lot of people who said, what are you thinking? But 6 years ago, I decided to run for mayor. And I decided to run because I thought it was the time for business leadership. And the ability to bring the dynamics of business modeling and business execution to a city government could never have been better. I was obviously wrong. I lost, but I had a terrific experience. So I met people that I would have never met, created friendships and relationships I would not have. I learned a lot about our city and about our government and about the dynamics of what's going on in a way that has since been helpful to help with to lead other initiatives. So that was a great experience as I look back, although not, some people would say, but you lost, so it wasn't successful. It was a really successful campaign because it brought a lot of issues out to the whole community for discussion and for thoughtful dialogue. I'm very, very proud of that campaign, even though I lost.
But you stepped out of your comfort zone. I mean, you obviously thought you're a believer in community, so I guess choosing to be mayor is like, you know, one of the top things if you're going to get there, be the mayor. You
know, it's a major commitment, and this is the other thing I learned, and I say to people, the courage, the energy and the investment it takes to run a campaign is immense and amazing. So people should be commended when they step out of that comfort zone. I went to a lot of presentations in which I knew I was absolutely not welcome. And I was not welcome only because of my party affiliation. But what you have to do is press through that, because if you have a message you believe in, you should be willing to go and deliver it.
Yeah, but what about this Broads group?
It's the worst name in the world. It's called the Old Broads. So I love this quote from Madeleine Albright. There's a special place in hell reserved for women who won't help women. And so we created a group called the Old Broads, and we invite young professionals and entrepreneurs to meet with us, and we do it on a quarterly basis, and we just let them ask questions and talk. So we really have the opportunity to help them reframe their thinking sometimes about what's important to them, the struggles they have at the moment. We celebrate successes.
That's
so it's
fantastic.
really been a terrific group, but we definitely need a new name.
So Billy, the community work is phenomenal, but I've been down here for 3 days in the triangle, as you call it, and there's a tremendous entrepreneurial buzz, and I know you're very involved in it, and you know a lot of our viewers are entrepreneurs. So I'd love to hear about the triangle and the innovation that's going on inside of it.
Well, you know what I love to talk about is community and community involvement. And so what I always take the opportunity to say to entrepreneurs or young professionals is that community engagement is good for business. Now, what people typically think then is good, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to have more business. That's not actually what I'm talking about. I find that when people find something they're passionate about, something they want to be engaged about to make the community a better place to live, so what they find is that they learn so much from the people that they work with on that initiative. They have the opportunity to improve their leadership skills. They learn the dynamics of other people's businesses, and they create relationships they could never create any other way.
You've broken through and a tremendously high achiever in your sector. Thinking of our viewers, thinking about some people breaking through, how would you capsulize the Stop, Think, Focus, Execute process, in your words, to get from a beginning to a peak?
You know, I think a key piece of that is this great quote, the beginning of wisdom is self-awareness. So I think you have to be willing to stop and be reflective about your participation in the circumstances, good or difficult. Where are you? How are you leading? What does it mean? And then the ability to look at things from a different perspective. You know, I think so often we are so intent on holding on to a concept, to a business model, to a strategy that we're not willing to stop and say, you know, that is just not working, or it could work better.
Yeah.
And then the next
absolutely.
piece is, are you willing to let people tell you that?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, criticism can be challenging. Are you willing to listen to other people,
Right.
their opinions and their ideas? And I think the great news about where we are today is that we are moving to more and more of a collaborative spirit. And so I think the things that I've learned and what I tell other, particularly young professionals, is be prepared, be informed, and then go do your homework. Sort of trust yourself and your instincts, but verify.
You know, we've been talking a lot about Stop and Think, but I'm really interested because, you know, you've built a large organization, which is, you know, focus and execute. What's been your magic in that?
You can't be complacent. And if you really want to drive value and you really want to be focused on excellence, then that's an everyday focus. It's a habit. It's a concept that has to be instilled in people every day in everything that you do. So I think the secret to that is a lot of people after success or after a period of time sort of grow weary. You've done it, been doing it for a long time.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And so how do you keep that passion? You know, how do you keep that commitment? And I think that again gets back to that team around you and the ability to receive feedback and sometimes criticism and the willingness of being flexible and the willingness to change.
Thanks, Billy. Some great insight for our viewers. I'm Phil Bliss, and thank you for watching Stop, Think, Focus, and Execute. And don't forget, it's not just about business, it's about the community.